Hi guys, I asked you for questions and I got some great ones. Let's get started with the first Q&A session of 2014. The first question is from Lewis. Lewis says, would you consider running online seminars for your VIPs? And also Tim asked a similar question. Tim asked, have you ever thought about teaching a photography workshop? I have thought about it, but I teach every day on YouTube. So for now, at least, I'm going to focus on providing consistent quality content there. Now the next question is from Brian. Brian asks, starting out in photography, one usually has to charge less because they don't have a portfolio to back up their skills. However, the catch-22 is that by pricing yourself too low, you give off the impression that your work is not very good. How do you strike a balance between price and quality when you try to take on your first clients? I suggest starting out by working with more experienced local photographers. Volunteer your services free of charge and learn from them while you are building up your portfolio. Then, when you're ready, market your services at whatever price that you feel you're worth. As a professional photographer though, not as someone just starting out. And our next question is from Ron. Ron says, you go for a hike wherever. What's in your camera bag? Camera, lenses, tripod, monopod? I like to pack light. It depends on the trip, but usually it's just one camera with one lens. Marcus asks, how tall are you? Just wondering. I am 5'5". Donald asks, how do I take satellite photos? With a satellite? I'm not sure how you would get your hands on one though. And the next question is from Bruce. Bruce says, what about coming to New Zealand to produce a series of training videos? We have lots of amazing countryside to run around. I'd love to, but I'd love to go everywhere. So I have to pick and choose my places. Okay, Joseph says, can we buy certain photos we like? Of mine? Sort of. I periodically put up 8x10s that I sign. I do have something else in the works, but I'm not quite ready to unveil it yet. Perry says, what's your take on a point and shoot with a fast lens, such as the Panasonic FZ200, instead of taking a DSLR and extra lenses on vacation? Yes. In fact, I talked about this very topic this past summer. Vacation can be a great time for a big DSLR setup, but it can also be the perfect opportunity to set aside that and just enjoy snapping photos with a lighter setup. The next question is from Ken. In studio portrait photography, what is the best way to set up 2 off-camera flashes without soft boxes to shoot a person? It all depends on the effect you're looking for. A classic setup would be to put them at about 45-degree angles from the subject and then have one of them on lower power output than the other. Many flashes come with diffusers, which will help soften the light. Otherwise, try to bounce the light off of a wall or a ceiling. I do have a couple of videos where I talk about using speed lights in and out of the studio. Our next question is from Absentia. I'm a new D600 user as of Christmas. What is the single most important thing I need to know about the camera or working with full frame coming from an older D70S? Well, the single most important thing you need to know is that it isn't that much different, at least in practice. Honestly, you're going to notice a quality difference, particularly at the higher ISO sensitivities. You're going to have more menu options, and you'll need to remember to use FX lenses or make sure that you're in cropped sensor mode when you're using DX lenses. I do have a bunch of videos on the D600 though, which may help you get acquainted with it. But the bottom line is that you don't necessarily need to do anything different when you're shooting. And our next question is from Jennifer. Jennifer asks, why are you so gorgeous? Jennifer, you make me blush. And to answer your question, I find that a smile goes a long way. The next question is from Eric. How has no one snatched you up? Smart, funny, successful, beautiful. If you can cook, you're a keeper. LOL. Oh my gosh, you guys, you're flattering me. I can cook, but I prefer to think that I would be the one doing the snatching. And Eric asks, what camera would you recommend for a hobbyist whose last cameras used film? I'm leaning towards the D50-200 or D50-300. Well, all of the DSLRs on the market today are pretty awesome. You really can't go wrong. The Nikon D5200 or D5300 are great. I do suggest, though, getting your hands on one in a shop to see if it feels good in your hands and maybe compare it to other brands. You got to make sure that you like holding it or else you won't want to use it. Oh, and if you're going to use some of your old lenses, make sure that they're compatible with your new camera body. Howard asks, what is one thing your fans would be surprised to know about you? Is that too personal? No, it's not too personal. I guess you could probably guess that I'm hard-headed, but one thing that you don't know is that my hard-headedness has recently caused me to injure myself. You all know about my injured toe, which is still giving me problems. It actually kind of ruined my last long run, which was really disappointing. And then I made matters worse by running up and back down a mountain the other day. I thought, forget this darn toe, I'm not letting it get me down. And well, I seem to have been like unconsciously compensating for my right big toe, and now my left knee is like broken. It actually hurts worse than my toe. In fact, the video that I shot on the first of the year where I supposedly went on a run, I actually had to limp it in after a few steps. So I'm really trying to rest it now. Let's see, my next question is from Howard. Howard, it says, do you obsess over food? Are you vegan or vegetarian? I am vegan. I do obsess over food, but not in the way that you would probably think. I simply love food and I obsess over my love of food. But, I don't count calories or anything. Howard asks, if you put down all of your cameras for 1 year, what would you do instead? Ugh. Holy moly, Howard. If I had to put my cameras down for a year, I would need to find a way to support myself. Maybe I'd try to be a park ranger somewhere. Rick says, do you have any knowledge about Olympus gear? They seem to be producing some top grade equipment, but I do not know anyone that uses their stuff. I don't have any knowledge beyond what I've read about them. I don't even get that many questions about Olympus stuff. And Joshua asks, are you excited for the new Star Wars? What is your favorite, prime, or do you prefer zoom lenses? Are you looking forward to any new camera gear for 2014? And then Ray asks similarly, what would you hope for in the next wave of new cameras? And what lens would you like to see come out? Maybe an old favorite that they don't have anymore that could do with a revamp. Well, first of all, I am excited about the new Star Wars. I currently prefer to shoot with primes. For 2014, I love hearing about all new gear, but I guess I'm interested to see if Nikon expands on the DF line. And I'm curious about larger sensors and more compact packages. And the next question is from Juan. He says, what's the difference between RAW and JPEG? And I know how to take a flash drive with JPEGs to Walgreens, but how do we develop a RAW file? Well, RAW and JPEG are two different file types. RAW files contain raw information and they are larger files. They need software to interpret them, to show you what the information actually means and to show you the image. And depending upon the software, your computer screen might not show you exactly what you saw on the camera. Adjustments like picture control and even white balance may be missing. And then to make matters more complicated, some image processing software will not process raw images. In the ones that do, though, you can edit the image and then export it as a JPEG file for printing. And the next question is from William. Chicken and egg, which one comes first? I'm going to go with the egg on this one. Craig asks, hi, I would like to say that you are a very beautiful photographer. And in one of your videos, you purchased a Canon P100 printer, I think it was. Anywho, how are the printing results? I would like to see, and what is your opinion on the printer? Well, it's back there. And it is a timely question. I did purchase the Canon Pixma Pro 100 inkjet photo printer, right behind me. I loved it for the first 6 months. I gave it actually a great review. And then I had an issue where it wasn't printing properly, which, you know what, is no big deal. Stuff breaks sometimes. But now I'm having a bit of a customer service issue with Canon. They said they were sending something, and then they didn't. And then I didn't find out that, I wasn't going to receive it for a month until I called back. And then I brought it up to my online community, and then magically Canon contacted me and has the part. It just isn't sitting well with me. And, you know, the part was actually waiting for me when I got back home last night from Northern Arizona. So I'll actually be checking it out today to see if the part fixes my problem. But I'll keep you guys in the loop. Let's see. The next question is from Yoni or Yanni. I don't know. What inspired you to do videos on YouTube? You know, I like to share knowledge, and it just seemed like a fun thing to do, so I started doing it. And then it turned into this. Let's see, Julian says, please teach us how to use cameras mounted to our body. I would absolutely love to get my hands on an action cam, and if and when I do, you guys will be the first to know, and I will certainly be doing videos on it. And then Joe says, throughout the course of this year, do you see a change in your style of photography, whether it be how often you shoot or the types of shoots you enjoy doing? You know, at some point in the last year or so, I found myself gravitating towards prime lenses. I like the simplicity of shooting with a fixed focal length, and I love the crisp results. And the next question is from John. How do you take good/great sporting event shots? Get close to the action if you can. Use a fast shutter speed to freeze the action. You might need to increase your ISO sensitivity to do that. But you know what? Don't discount a little motion blur for an interesting shot. And then Juan asks, I would like to just wish you a happy new year and hope that this new year brings you more success and us more SnapChick. Thanks, Juan. I will definitely keep the videos coming. Moses says, hey, do you have any camera gear you don't want? Because I'll take it free of charge. Thanks. My problem, though, is that I have trouble getting rid of gear. I just love them all so much. They're like my children. Jourdain says, how do you do your self-portraits? What do you focus on while setting up the camera? What do you do next so the photo stays in focus? Oh gosh, I've tried many different things. I use interval timer a lot. Sometimes I use a wireless trigger, but you know, one of the most reliable things to do for focus is using my mannequin as a stand-in for focus and to adjust lighting. And then I switch to manual focus so that the focused area doesn't change. And then if I'm going to be moving around, sometimes I'll use Nikon's auto area autofocus, which usually actually does a pretty good job of catching me. The next question is from Dana. If you had to choose one camera and one lens, what would they be? That's a toughie. If I had to choose one camera and one lens for absolutely everything that I do, I'd have to go with the Nikon D800 and the 50mm f1.8 lens. I sure would miss my V1 though. Derek's question is, how do you clean the remaining spots on the sensor that the auto sensor cleaner won't clean? And then Scott asks, when should we have the inside of the camera cleaned? Well, this kind of depends. There are many different ways to manually clean the sensor. I myself have used the Copper Hill method. It is a delicate process though, so you either need to be very secure in cleaning it, or you should take it to a trusted shop or just send it into Nikon or your manufacturer for cleaning. As for how often to clean it, it depends on the environment. How often you're changing lenses, how much dust bothers you. It might be once a year, it might be less, might be more. If you're noticing spots on your images, it's probably time to clean. Now that I've told you that I clean my own sensors, I am not recommending that you clean your own sensors. I'm not endorsing that. And if you try it and you break your camera, don't blame me. So the bottom line is that it's super sensitive. So be very careful if you're going to try to do it. Okay, the next question is from John. How about a simple question? What or who was your inspiration, or what gave you a passion for photography? And then Linus asks, which photographer inspires you? In the beginning, I have no idea what inspired me. I just always loved photography. I just loved taking pictures from the moment I had my first camera. Now, at this point, gosh, you guys are my inspiration. And I know that sounds so cheesy, but it's true. You know, talking about photography with so many people ignites that passion in me. And Stephen asks, I use the D300S and have found myself wishing for a better low light camera. The D300S sucks in low light beyond ISO 800. Great outdoor camera though. You won't hear anything bad from me about the D300S. I adore that camera. I don't know, what lenses you're using, but you may want to try something that will provide you with wider aperture capability, like maybe a prime lens. And then the next question is from MD Shanawaz. How to manage your white balance in indoor shooting? Well, match your white balance setting to the type of lighting that you're in. So like if you're under incandescent bulbs, use the incandescent white balance setting. Indoors though, you can end up with mixed lighting. I do have a couple of videos on that. And then Ray asks, are there any photographs in your portfolio that you are most proud of and any that make you cringe? Oh gosh, I tend to be really hard on myself and rarely feel proud of myself when it comes to my work. I think that's, the pain of the artist. That being said though, I did recently look back on some of my work as SnapChick and I realized that I have quite a catalog of photos, all of which were created by me. From inception to styling to modeling to taking the photos, and I think I can say I'm pretty proud of that. And then my next question is from William. William says, okay, SnapChick, here's one. This year I want to do one creative personal project a month. How do I recruit models and hair and makeup stylists in a way that would make it a win-win? I'm willing to set aside $150 per month to help with pay if needed, from me no longer smoking a pack a day. Well, first off, congratulations on quitting smoking. That is an amazing feat. As for recruiting models and such, searching on model sites like Model Mayhem or advertising on Craigslist is a way to get models and others into your studio on a time for prints basis. Then you can use that $150 per month to pay models and hair or makeup people as needed or as like a surprise bonus when they are particularly good. That way they are more likely to come back to your studio. And the next question is from Sean. Sean says, who takes all of the pictures of you? Mostly me. Sometimes I'll get a friend to help out though. Ragatej? Yeah, I think. Planning to get a 70-200 f2.8 lens for my D3200, but Nikon is too expensive. So looking on alternative like Sigma and Tamron. In your opinion, which one is best, Sigma or Tamron? And can we teleconvert them? Okay, two thoughts. One, the quality of third-party lenses can be inconsistent between different lenses or even among different copies of the same lens. And two, this is the big issue. When you buy that brand new DSLR, your third-party lenses may not be compatible with it without workarounds that include sending the lens to the manufacturer. My opinion is that I want my lenses to work reliably with my cameras every time. So personally, I would just save up for the Nikon lens. And the next question is from Steven. What's more important to invest in, full frame camera or faster lenses? Okay, everyone's different, but typically I'd say that investing in lenses is the way to go. You'll have them a lot longer than any body, and the right lens for the situation is much more important to your result than the sensor size of your DSLR. And Eric says, how do you keep photography fun when you're burned out or bored? Well, I usually go outside or to a museum. And the next question is from Tatum. Tatum says, can you suggest a good lens hood for the 18-55 Nikon lens? I ordered an 18-55 lens hood from Nikon, but it doesn't stay attached to the lens. It falls right off. Any help is appreciated. I've not had any problems with that hood. You do have to make sure to lock it on though. So you put it in place and you turn it and it'll click right into place. Tony says, do you ever use external battery systems? If so, what one? I have. I have the Canon grip for the T4i, and I had an off-brand grip for the Nikon D3100 that I got on eBay. You won't see me with third-party lenses, but a third-party battery grip using name brand batteries, maybe so. It's pretty low risk in my opinion. Adam says, what should I use for lighting if I want to shoot a couple portraits in my home without making a huge investment? A 3-flash setup would be great, but I know I won't use them more than a few times. Ugh, I wouldn't suggest purchasing anything that you don't think that you're going to use. I would either try to use natural light from a window or gather lamps from around your home. Or one speed light can go a long way. Satchmo says, what editing software do you use most? Photoshop, Elements, Lightroom, or do you use another program? I currently use Apple Aperture almost exclusively. And the next question is from Eddie. What do you love most about photography? Oh, Eddie, I love capturing things, memories, emotions, and then provoking questions with my photos. Pavel says, how did you learn photo editing and how do you suggest a noob learn? Well, I experimented, but now in the age of YouTube, there are a lot of videos where you can watch people edit. And if I were just starting out now, I would watch those videos. I'd watch what others do and then experiment to create my own style. Sean asks, if you had to have one Canon lens and one Canon camera fast glass for all-around shooting, what would be your choice? I do only have one Canon DSLR, one zoom lens, and one prime. I have the Canon Rebel T4i, its kit lens, the 18-55, and the 40mm f2.8 pancake lens. Juan says, what portrait lens and why for Nikon? And then Oliver asks, if you had to choose one portrait lens to use for the rest of the year, which one would you pick? For portraits, no matter your camera brand, if you're looking for a traditional head and shoulders portrait of one person, on full frame, I would go for the 85mm f1.8 lens, and on crop sensor, I would go for the 50mm f1.8 lens. And Yasser says, if it is one camera, one lens, one flash, one modifier, one advice to be a good photographer, one tip that you would suggest to your best fan, what would be that? I mean, for an intermediate photographer. This will be one last and simple interview of 2013. Hope we'll get a super awesome-matic answer. Wish you a happy new year. Well, I know that I just gave some suggestions about what I would use for portraits, but, let me give you my super awesome-matic answer. There is no one best piece of equipment, of any equipment. My best piece of advice, though, is to shoot a lot with what you have and experiment as much as you can. And the next question is from Sinclair. Sinclair says, what are your plans for the new year? And then Raymond asks, do you have any professional goals or personal resolutions for 2014 that you can share? And similarly, Dale asks, what are your resolutions for the new year? Well, professionally, more SnapChick. Actually, I posted a video yesterday where I talked about doing more landscape photography with you guys. And then one personal goal that I have is to run 200 miles this month. However, this whole knee-toe thing might abbreviate that goal or even push it back to next month. So I guess really my personal goal should actually be to allow myself to heal rather than go try to run up a mountain while I'm injured. Well, that's all, guys. I love answering your questions, so keep them coming. I think it's going to be a great year.